You're lying. I don't believe you. You're both lying. You're witches. You're lying. You're lying. You're lying. You're lying. Babysitting Rosemary's Baby the First the Nerdom with Mike and Tom.
Hey, Tom.
Hey.
How's it going this week?
Not too bad, not too shabby, as they say.
Nice, nice. Yeah, take two here. We had a little
Mhm.
the technical difficulty anyway. So this week I was really excited to do this. I've kind of wanted to wait on this one for a while, and I think we arrived at the perfect serendipity moment. Not planned out at all. We were just talking before we went live here, before we started recording. That matter of fact that. The movie that we're going to get into this week is actually being re-released by Paramount in a big bundle of videos, which we'll share. We'll get into here in a little bit. But you had
Mhm.
also noted that A had actually released it on physical on 4K for Blu-ray actually last week. And
Mhm.
the box
Yep.
set that I'm talking about is going to be coming out this coming Tuesday, the 24th, I believe.
Right.
So.
Yeah.
But yeah, so usually we go into these things here, and we will very shortly. But I just want to at the top of the show here, before we get into the main event, I wanted to go into our usual plugging of the show and say, I was shocked. I know you were too. We picked up 2 subscribers.
Mhm.
That kind of makes up for the fact that we lost one along the way quite a few weeks ago.
Yep.
It seemed like we were on an upward trajectory, and boy, this YouTube thing it feels like that. But
Yeah.
um, yeah, but we do the show, and we are nerds. We are the first, the last, the Nerdom. And we've
Mhm.
been doing this thing. It'll be 2 years, won't it be, in November,
Mhm.
Thomas? Yep.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah, that's crazy to me. That we've been doing it that long, and definitely we've come a long, long way from from just.
Yeah. Yeah. I was for some reason I'd saved one of our videos to watch later, and maybe I clicked the wrong thing, but it was one of our old videos that the other day, a couple days ago, I just started playing it, and yeah, it was our very first one when we talked about Fantastic Four, the movies, and yeah, there's it's almost night and day in the the difference from then to now. So yeah, it's and I think things gotten better. Hopefully the audience thinks so too. But
Oh
yeah,
yeah.
I was kind of kind of surprised at how much we've changed.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and to kind of touch point on that, we are pretty much on YouTube here. Thomas has our Twitter account out there in the big wide
Hmm.
world. That is X, whatever.
Hmm. Yeah, X.
And we definitely have. I don't know what is going on with my camera, but it is apparently I am the potato head today, so that's fine. Anyway, these things happen. In any case, we're going strong. 100. This will be 155 by the time we release it. But go check out our slime ball Rama. Very. We. It's very curious to me. Like when we jump into the 80s, you just don't quite know how it's going to go. But oftentimes it actually goes pretty well. I have to say.
Hmm.
What do you think?
Yeah, I think from the I posted us on Reddit as well to plug us on the since it's on Tubi. I plugged it on the Tubi TV channel and or subreddit, and they there was a couple of people that posted that it was their favorite one of their favorite movies of all time, and one of them watches it every New Year's Eve for whatever reason. He said, I don't know why, but I do. So yeah, it's
Okay.
it's one of those that, like I said, it stuck with me when for me my childhood, and again I watched it when it was on cable. Paid cable where they cut out all the bad stuff as
Right.
far as the nudity and stuff. So yeah, I think it probably landed with a lot of younger people just because of that, and cutting all that stuff out probably made it like an hour and 10-minute movie or something. But yeah, it's so this is our horror month because of October. So
Yep.
yeah, we started it light and fun with the sorority babes, and then now we're getting a little more serious with Rosemary's Baby.
Yeah, this one we probably go from probably a very much guilty pleasure, sort of, so to speak, in the you know, the 80s, you know, Screen Queens, that type thing, and we're going into this one, this heavy hitter from 1968. And I have never seen this before now. I've heard about it ad infinitum, over and over and over again. But before we jump into that real quick, hey, if you've been a subscriber, you're recently subscribed, thank you so much. We really do appreciate it. Thomas and I are not going to get rich by any stretch of the imagination. We don't do that for that reason. But but a little attention goes a long way for us, and we do. I think I'd rather have more people to watch us than you know, just money, because money can come and go. But when you're building a community, I think that means a little bit more to me at this stage, anyway, of the thing. But in any case, thank you so much. If you could please share this out wherever you're at on social media, wherever, it'd be great. If you have a comment, please let us know. Cost you nothing for a like, cost you even more nothing for to subscribe. Hit that bell button, like Tom likes to say. And we'll keep doing this thing. We're actually we're rolling up on 2 years. I don't know what we're gonna do in November. I'm not quite sure. I know we're gonna take a little bit of a break in mid-November, the week before Thanksgiving, and then the week of Thanksgiving is what we have. We talked about. Just so the audience knows, you know, everybody kind of needs a little bit downtime. And there's been a lot of changes lately over the last year for me and Tom. So we sometimes you just got to take stock and you know, have some downtime and enjoy that family and enjoy that time. I know there's some video games that are piling up that would be nice to jump into. I know I have too, and we might get into that little side talk there in a minute if you want to, or whatever, if it fits. But in any case, yeah. So as we ease into this one, I just kind of want to take a minute here to go over like what your history is, because I always you dragged me into this strange and crazy world called horror, and if my scene button would work, good Lord, oh my God, I don't I have to do something with my computer here. It's okay. I guess we're stuck on this scene, but in any case,
yeah, it's possessed. But
you know
yeah.
what? I think it is. I'm just not having any kind of luck here with getting this damn thing to work. But anyway, I'll let that go, and I'll let you kind of give us a little bit of background. Because I don't know that for sure that you have a history with this movie, but I would guess that you would. And regardless of that, I want to hear your opinion on this one. I have my thoughts that we'll get into shortly here, but yeah, like give us a little horror aficionado glaze on the top.
Glaze. All right. So yeah, it came out in 1968, a little bit before both of our times.
Yep.
But
just a little.
But just a tad. But yeah, and it's one of the few movies that we've covered from the 60s. I think we covered the original Planet of the Apes, which I believe was 60. But in the 60s, unless it's like very early 70s. But hey, we changed scenes. All right, so yeah, it was one of those movies that I hadn't seen. I didn't see it early on because for some reason it never showed up on basic cable, and it probably like showed on HBO or something, which we didn't have. But so yeah, it was. I obviously didn't see it in the theaters, and then I guess when video became big, you know, I always picked a different horror movie to watch as opposed to Rosemary's Baby. It's like, yeah, being a a young teenager watching a movie about a pregnant woman just doesn't really jump out at you, even though you know, there's something going on with Satan and everything. It's just one of those movies that I always meant to watch, but it was always on the back burner. And it wasn't until the early 2000s when the DVD came out, I was like, oh, okay, I'll finally pick that up and watch it. So I did see it in the 2000s, and maybe I wasn't in the right mood for it, but I thought it was okay. I wasn't blown away by it. So when you suggested it, I was like, okay, yeah, I can watch it again.
Right on.
See if my opinion changed, and it has. I enjoyed it quite a bit more. I can see why it's the one of the top horror movies of all time. There is that quote. I forget who said it. That said that it's the best horror movie without horror in it. Which I don't know if I agree exactly, but it is more of a
Mm,
drama with a horror cast to it. That I mean, it is a horror movie, but they don't play it as a horror movie. They play it more of as a drama
right.
up until the very end. And we, of course, we won't get into spoilers, but yeah, it kind of goes mask off towards the end. But yeah, for the first part of it, it's more or less a horror movie, and it's pretty much stays within. And again, it's about a couple that moves into this new this apartment in this very refined neighborhood,
Right.
maybe a little bit above their pay grade, and they meet the neighbors, and the wife has this starts getting this sinking suspicion that they're a cult of Satanists, and maybe there's something's up with her unborn baby that she's just recently became pregnant with.
Yeah, this I had just to give a little I have zero history with this. And the only reason why I mentioned it is because like as we've been doing this thing, and even before we started doing this YouTube thing, I had a passing interest in kind of cinema history and things, especially revolving around movies that I like. More specifically, obviously, that's how it would go.
Hmm.
But since you've introduced horror to me, and I've really discovered like what a very deep and wide genre it is, especially when you
Hmm.
merge it with other ones too. This this like you were saying, Rosemary's Baby always comes up as like one of the definitive. Some say
Hmm.
even one of the best horror films of all time.
Hmm.
I don't know that we're going to get into that level of detail, but I would say that I can understand why. And I know we watched Possession quite a while ago, and I love that one. That one is just like that has that feeling of you don't know quite what to make of things when you're done with
Yeah.
it. And sometimes even after you go back into it, watch it. I watched Possession at least probably 3 times since we saw
Yeah.
it, reviewed it, and I
Oh,
come
that's
away with
cool. Uh-huh.
yeah, no, I come away with
A little
something,
bit.
yeah, more each time,
Hmm.
really. Um,
Yeah.
but
Yeah, and
this
it's
this is one that is like that, very much so. Takes that jump into the psyche sphere, as I like to say, and kind of twists you around.
yeah, like Possession, it is. Possession. When I say drama, I mean it gets more into the emotions of the characters.
Right.
Yeah, obviously, say like with the slasher movie, you're there for the thrill ride. Maybe it gets a little bit deep at times, but that's not its purpose. It's there to make you jump in the seat and enjoy a fun ride, much like a Marvel movie. It's there just to kind of thrill you a little bit. Whereas Rosemary Baby and Possession and The Exorcist, all of those, they aspire to something a little bit greater, as in maybe get into the psychology of the people involved in it, and it is based off of Ira Levin novel of Rosemary's Baby, and he I haven't ever read the book, but yeah, um, and Roman Polanski, he adapted it and is the director of the movie. It's the first movie that he adapted from a novel. So his first time of adapting a novel, and Ira Leving, he said that he thinks that Roman was kind of scared to change anything, and so or didn't know whether or not he could.
Mm,
So this is one of the most faithful filmed adaptation of a novel. If you remember, we talked to Joe Lansdale, another writer,
yes.
um, when we first started, and he talked about how everybody has an opinion on what they should change in the book, and from the book to the movie, and they almost always change something, whether it makes sense or not. And so it's kind of a rarity that the book gets translated so faithfully. In fact, there's uh, there's little details in the movie that are from the book that don't really have to be there in the movie but it's there because it was in the book. Like the first uh, uh, obstetrician that she goes to is Dr. Hill, and Dr. Hill played by Charles Grodin, one of his first big roles in a movie. He uh, but he the doctor's there, and they talk her into a different doctor to see about her baby, but she goes back to him much later in the film, and Dr. Hill has kind of a blondish mustache that you could probably barely even notice on film, but that's a detail that was from the book, that from her first visit to the second visit, the guy had grown a mustache.
Right.
And it was in the book, so it's in the movie.
Huh.
So that's kind of weird. That he was kind of obsessed with that amount of detail. And also I read that he's much like David Fincher. David Fincher's film scene a scene over and over and over again. Yeah, Polanski was very meticulous about getting the scene right and would film it hundreds of times, just just to get it right.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah, there is there are so many. You could probably watch this 5 times and not come away with all the things that you organically see as you go through, because you're introduced. And again, the level of quality. This is what is I think needs to be seen more about anyway, which is that movies that were made, and if they're preserved correctly, and you see a very good high quality version of it. It obviously it's from its era, but at the same time, there's something special too about how they shot film that way, that translates a lot more and stands the test of time than, like, say, CGI or green screen, that sort of thing. And this is, I was blown away by just the quality of the cuts, the scene, the lighting, the everything. I understand very much why people adore this as a horror film. I don't know. It very much is a horror movie, because this is.
Oh yeah.
This is. I disagree with whoever said that. Whatever. But you know what? Maybe they have a better reason than I'm giving them credit for. But in any case, damn. I mean, it's some things you would. It's just so visceral. Just to put it bluntly,
Yep.
it starts you, and you become a passenger with Rosemary, and all this you see how, and not to give any spoilers away, but you kind of see how. I was watching a YouTube short, and they was talking about somebody famous who was talking about how they don't like people, they like dogs, and they gave an example, and that kind of brought to mind when I was thinking about my thoughts for the show, which is like, people have treated dogs better than this poor than Rosemary. Like,
Yeah.
every turn, she's constantly being lied to, and that's not really giving anything away. But I was diving into some background. This is a Roman Polanski flick, and this is before, right? This is before his pregnant wife was murdered, correct?
Yeah, this is his first Hollywood movie.
Yes,
it came out in '68, and the murders happened in '69.
Right.
So just maybe not even a year later. Yeah.
Around the corner.
They moved to Hollywood, and this happened. So yeah, that's pretty tragic. Actually, Sharon Tate, he had considered for the role of Rosemary. He had first wanted a voluptuous woman, much like Sharon Tate. They also offered it to Jane Fonda. Can you imagine Jane Fonda in this? But but one of the producers suggested Mia Farrow, because he thought that needed a little bit of name recognition, and she didn't have that as far as movies, but she had just been in a successful TV show, Peyton Place. So she had name recognition there, and also she had just married Frank Sinatra and was in the papers all over the
Yes.
place because of that. So they thought that would give it a little bit of a boost, and I think the movie benefited from her kind of waif like her frail kind of physical structure, because all the torment that happens to her probably works best with her as opposed to more buxom woman, so to speak.
Yeah, it definitely goes into it kind of you kind of go in this panic room with her, I guess, because she is that. But yeah, yeah. So there is like this. So famously, we won't go all of them, but there is like some kind of obviously when you make a movie about the occult and about Satan and whatnot, it's heavily implied, if not directly. You kind of get this, and because of the genre, it kind of developed this second life of curses that happened to some of the people that were involved around it. Maybe that's true, maybe
Yep.
it's not, but definitely the Roman Polanski one was that was something unique that
Yeah, and
happened.
actually, William Castle, he's the one that had picked up the rights to it, and it was trying to get it made. And as he got put in as a producer of it, but one of the stipulations of it getting made was that William Castle would not direct it, because he's famously known for his kind of wacky horror movies like The Tingler, where the seats kind of vibrated underneath you, and
Right.
the movie with Smell-O-Vision and stuff. And that movie that we watched a few months back, Matinee, the John Goodman character sort of based around William Castle. So yeah, he's sort of a larger than life kind of guy. And in fact, he does a little cameo in the movie. He's the guy that is waiting on Rosemary to finish up in the phone booth to get in to talk. So if you watch it again, you can look out for him. But he was so worried about the cursed film aspect of it that they said he didn't leave his house for several years afterwards to avoid the curse.
Yeah, yeah. There's a curse for sure, and I believe while she was doing this film, this was one of her first big films. I think
Hmm.
that you were alluding to earlier. She was married to
Yeah.
Frank Sinatra, and she got
Hmm.
served divorce papers when she
Yep.
was in the middle of this, and it took a lot of
Yeah.
convincing from Roman and other folks to say, "Hey, stay the course and keep
Hmm.
doing your thing," because otherwise, if you just walk away now, then not only are you gonna
Yeah.
have you're gonna have two bumps on your record. You're gonna have one for the
Hmm.
divorce and then one for not making this movie and seeing it through. I'm glad she saw it
Hmm.
through. Obviously, we would not be the same world as it is today without her in that film and in this role. So iconic as
Yep.
it became. So
Hmm.
yeah, a lot of strange things, and I
She wouldn't have maybe she wouldn't have ended up with Woody Allen, and that's that would be a tragedy too.
yeah, yeah, but very bizarre marriage to begin with between
Hmm.
her and Sinatra. I think Sinatra was in
Old
his.
blue eyes, yeah.
Yeah, he was definitely was old blue eyes in 1967 or whatever the hell they
Hmm.
met. But they were
Hmm.
it was practically like it was like one of them 24-hour in and out. It was a little
Yeah.
bit long, quite a bit longer than that. But like
Right.
he was putting pressure on her and saying, "Hey, look, man, I want you to be my full-time wife." Which is very
Right.
much which we'll get into, which is tangentially related and so funny when movies are made,
Mhm.
which plays into the era too, for sure.
Yep.
And had the era not been what it was, I don't think this would have been quite got the bump that it get. At least the layering for sure that you can easily clap over this. But what I was going to say real quick was Sinatra wanted her to be full time wife. Wanted her to basically give up her movie star career and say,
Hmm.
come home and be a homemaker or whatever and
Yeah.
all that. And she was like, nope, I don't think so. But
Yeah.
why that is pivotal is because of course there's flower power, the
Hmm.
hippies, the free love, the
Yep.
60s were just getting, well, they were probably, well, I don't know. I wasn't alive during that, so it'd just be
Yeah.
speculation, but by me. But yeah, what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, yeah, in 60s free love, It also was when they Anton LaVey established the Church of Satan.
Yep.
And there was a rumor, false rumor, that he plays the Satan character in the movie. There's sort of a possible dream sequence, maybe real, scene very early on in the movie where this person that looks like Satan shows up, and yeah, there's speculation that that was Anton LaVey, which it wasn't. But Mia Farrow said it was a very nice gentleman that afterwards, after he had groped her and stuff in the scene, he was a very refined gentleman and said, "It was been a pleasure working with you, Mia," and shook her hand. So she thought it was kind of odd.
Such weird work dynamics in Hollywood. Who knows?
Yes, yes. Yeah, and there's a lot of Easter eggs in this movie too. I was looking, and the book that she was reading on the couch at one point is Sammy Davis's Jr.'s autobiography called Yes I Can, I think is the title. And obviously Sammy Davis was very much in the Rat Pack, which was with Frank Sinatra. So there's the tie there within the movie. Plus, he was at that time a member of the Church of Satan. So he was a Satanist at that time. So there's that. Sammy Davis Jr. was a Satanist at that time. He was in the Church of Satan, Anton LaVey's church, and so yeah, there's that dynamic. So there's that double meaning there. And and then at one point she gets a book from her friend about witches, and when her husband puts it up on the shelf, he puts it on top of that Sammy Davis Jr. autobiography, plus a 2-volume book about sexual deviancy, I think. So that was kind of it's all there. There's a reason why all of that's there, and it's kind of interesting that there's so much attention to detail that Roman Polanski had in this movie. Hmm. Oh, that yeah, actually that's it. 1966. Well, no, I think she was got pregnant in 65. But the due date was in June 1966. So June being the 6th month. Yeah, yep, yep. Yeah. Hmm. 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 Yep. Yeah. Yeah, there's yeah. Yeah. Hmm. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, it plays that line of whether for the longest time it plays, well, is it just in her head, or is this is it, because women that get pregnant often goes through, there's so much hormones going through the body that it affects how they think sometimes, and they gonna get a little scrambled. So it could be that she's just kind of kind of got caught up, and there is that postpartum depression that happens afterwards too. after the baby is you have the baby. So there's a
Right.
element of, is she just, going through a thing,
Right. Right.
or
Oh no.
is this real? But it does, the movie does take some very clear signs that, yeah, this is really going on. I was reading about the movie. Since I'd seen it before, I was kind of wanting to go into this movie with a little bit more ammo to look out for things. So I was reading, and they pointed out something that I found fascinating. This isn't too much of a spoiler, but there's a when her friend Hutch comes over, the nosy neighbor guy comes over while they're there and kind of barges in, and just to check on who's visiting Rosemary.
Right.
And he leaves, and then you have to assume that he called her husband, because the
Right.
husband comes racing back. And there's when Hutch is leaving, a glove's missing. So did the husband snag that glove to do maybe some nefarious things? And then a little bit later on, she gets a call from Hutch, and he needs to talk to her the next morning, very urgently. So, and her husband comes in and kind of quizzes her over it. What's going on, blah blah blah. And she tells him, I'm meeting him at Time Life Building at 11 tomorrow. And then the husband goes, "Oh, I need to get some ice cream." And so he quickly runs from the apartment, and then she kind of turns, it stays on her, and she kind of rolls over to maybe go to sleep. But if you listen closely, after he closes the door to leave, you hear a doorbell ring.
Hmm.
It's him going across the hallway to tell the neighbors about the meeting that Hutch is having, and
Oh.
for them to maybe do something, some hocus pocus on that glove they stole,
Huh.
to take care of Hutch.
Interesting. Interesting. Yeah.
But
Go ahead. Sorry.
no, I thought that's awesome, and that kind of tells you that it's not all in her head, because this is outside her head, and she doesn't know the importance of that doorbell ringing. That's there for us to notice or not notice.
Right. 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 Yeah. That's very true. Very true. Yeah. There is just this epic setup for her, and how things go for her. It once you start sliding into it, you can't look away. You just can't. And there are so many themes that we could touch on. Whether it's, you mentioned motherhood a little bit ago, being pregnant and whatnot, and how that changes. There's just a flood of changes that happen to the human body, to the female body, I should say, specifically. Obviously, if you're a dude, you can't get pregnant. But in any case,
Well, no, yeah,
well,
we won't get
okay.
into that.
Well, okay. Well, okay. Well, we're we're not going to get into it, but we will take it from 1968. So we'll leave it at that.
Yeah, from that perspective, yeah.
Yeah. So in any
Definitely.
case, yeah. But I need to see this a few more times, because I'm still kind of digesting it. I did like it a lot. I did in fact love it. I still think I like Possession more. That's just because it's more familiar to me.
Yep.
But I know that after I see this a few times in different light, in different circumstances, I know that it's probably gonna make me want to get the 4K version of it. And I'm glad, which we might as well jump into while we're talking about it, plugging it. Not that it needs plugins. It's a friggin' classic. But yeah, so what I mentioned in the intro was that just kind of happened. I came across this article in Collider when I was researching it, and it just kind of popped up. It was like it was talking about horror films and whatnot, and then I saw this because I did a search for it. In any case, Pet Sematary and others are in a box set with Paramount, and they're releasing it on Tuesday. You had mentioned that they had already released the film here, and I'll put this up while we're talking about it here to come up. They already released it. I am curious. This is where there's a few guys on YouTube that do 4K physical media reviews. I think Red Letter Media does some, or it's other guys. I know Tom from Midnight's Edge does them, and I know that Chris Gore, okay, he does them too. But I really am curious to see if this is a really good, because this is the thing that I've learned from you for physical media. Just because they say 4K and just because it's on Blu-ray, the studios think they can check that box, ship it, and then they're done. That doesn't mean anything. It just what you really want to hear is it a good version, or is I know the Criterion version of this dropped a long time ago. So I'd be curious to see how it stacks up, because I just don't, like, I'm just not, just because it says 4K, know, and that kind of tells you if this is just a money grab or if they actually had somebody that gave a crap and actually put a little bit of work into this to like make it special.
Well, it's not as far as a lot of times people wait for in 4Ks or special editions, Criterion. The big thing is the transfer plus all the extras that you get. It makes you feel special getting some extra stuff like maybe interviews and whatnot. I did read a review of this on Blu-ray.com, I believe the site is, and they review different ones. Digital Bits is also another good site to read reviews of 4Ks and Blu-rays. But they said that just because the films was filmed, and you probably noticed it on your watch of it, it's filmed kind of soft, kind of has a soft look to the film, and that was intentional. But that doesn't translate well to 4K being crisp and clear. So the transfer is a good transfer, but if you're looking for a dramatic increase of detail or resolution from the Blu-ray, they said from the Criterion Blu-ray that there's not a huge difference.
Okay.
So if you already have the Blu-ray, it may not be worth jumping to the 4K, especially because all the extras on this are just from the previous DVD extras. So there's no additional extras to it. It's just that transfer that so if you've never owned a copy of it, $20 isn't a bad price for it. So
no, it's not. And I'm not saying that price equals quality.
No.
Not at all. But okay, interesting. I might have to wait a little bit. But if you are in the market for revamping physical media, it's pretty. I think they're starting to get smarter about where they put their money and hopefully some of this. I would imagine most of these things that happen like this, where a big studio just releases a bunch of things for whatever reason, is just for revenue, as it were. But sometimes you just never know. Sometimes you can hit the jackpot. But that's out there. Should anybody want to take advantage of it, for sure. Yeah, and I did find the script of this, which is kind of cool. I'll have to read that offline later. I saw that, and more importantly, I need to read the novel. Really, not the.
It'd be kind of interesting to read the novel and then read the script to see how much it compares. Because the script, I think it's 272 pages. The original script. I don't know if that's.
Probably
that's
right.
That one. But yeah, after they filmed it, it was a 4-hour movie, and Roman Polanski couldn't decide on what to cut from it, so he left it up to his editor. So the editor was responsible for the cut that we see, because Roman just couldn't cut it down from 4 hours. So the movie ended up 2 hours and 17 or 16 minutes. So it's one of those movies, a lot of times with the movies from the 60s and 70s, they're slower paced. So, sometimes they drag a little bit. This movie didn't drag at all. It was very riveting from the start to finish.
I would agree with from start to finish. You care about the story, you care about the characters, you care about what's going on, and then you want to stick around.
And also it's a kind of a slice of life. I grew up partly through the 70s, and even though it's 68, there's a lot of things don't change a whole lot early on. So
No,
yeah,
not from
it
decade to
reminded
decade.
me,
Yeah.
yeah, it reminded me of my very young childhood and of how things looked back then and how things were, and just the fact that there wasn't the internet and all you had was your TV there, and that's all about all the entertainment you had in your apartment. Outside your nosy neighbors coming over and bugging you. It also plays on the trope of evil old people. I've never, I know some people are deathly afraid of old people for whatever reason, but yeah, that never really landed with me. So maybe that was one of the reasons why it didn't affect me quite that much in the 2000s. Like, oh, they're just sweet old people, you know?
Yeah, no, I think that might have been a trope or something a little bit more true in past generations, because you had that echoed throughout, throughout the era of the era being the 60s, going into the 70s and even before. That might have been a knee jerk kickback to, a lot of things are changing from generation to generation, but in any case, I wanted to get into the particulars. Oh, go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to mention, since you have that on Bramford, that's the name of the apartment building that's in the book. But Bramford was based off of the Dakotas, which is the apartment building that they actually used for the exteriors filming for Rosemary's Baby. So the apartment building that he based it off of was used as the actual place. So that was kind of a kind of synchronicity there. And Bramford, how he came up with that name was because of Bram Stoker, who created Dracula.
Ah, okay.
That's
All
sort
right.
of a, and then Dakotas is also where John Lennon lived for a while, and where he was shot and killed was actually the where at the very beginning of the movie, one this drug addict that was staying with the older couple jumps and gets killed out front. That's where John Lennon got killed. So
Damn.
that's sort of a sort of a I don't know if that ties in with the curse or not, but yeah, there's that.
That I read about that in the lead up to this, and I would say,
Mhm.
don't read Catcher in the Rye and
Yeah.
stalk famous people. Don't do that.
hmm
Although
Yeah, I yeah
it's
I back in the 2000s as well. I read Catcher in the Rye just
say
because everybody
just did
said it
it.
was such a good book or whatever. I was very unimpressed with the book, but while I was reading it, it was where we both worked. I don't know if you were there still at the time when I read it, but everybody was making fun of me, saying, "Oh, who are you gonna shoot up and kill?" Like, no one.
I started reading it. I've tried to start reading it a number of times, but I'll get to a few chapters in, and then I just my brain is just
hmm
going somewhere else, and I'm
Yeah.
just not.
Yeah,
You got to.
maybe I ain't so smart, and it didn't really hit with me. But yeah, I was very unimpressed with the book.
Yeah, the only thing I can say for books like that are I grew up as a life from childhood on till the day I die, more than likely. Hopefully
Mhm.
in many decades from this point. But I will say, Dune was one of them books that I just I tried to read, just never really caught, and I kind of listened to other people instead of going out and actually giving it a shot until until the movie
Mhm.
came out. So fair point. Maybe you just kind of be in the right time, right place,
Mhm.
right mindset, and then you can really enjoy it,
Mhm.
really get some value out of it.
Yeah.
But in any case, I do want to read this book that by
Mhm.
the novel by Ira Levin that he wrote. A little fun fact about books. I believe she's reading a fictional book called All the Witches. I believe, yeah,
Yeah.
all them witches. Excuse me.
Yeah.
But it's a
Hutch, her
fictional.
friend Hutch gave it to her. Yeah.
Right. That's right. That's
Yeah.
right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it kind of references maybe a relationship to a person, the one of her neighbors. But yeah, it's yeah, and the at one point they tell her that the person that gives her the book said that to tell her that Hutch said it was an anagram. At one point, she's trying to figure out the anagram from the title of the book.
Mm.
And then, yeah, she discovers a relationship of possibly with the neighbor. But yeah, also, there's a big discussion of tannis root and it being kind of a
Oh,
evil,
yeah.
evil herb or whatever. That's made up by Ir11, the author of the book. He made that up, that root.
Yeah, there was a scene in there where she's not quite sure what she's getting or whatever, and she's like, tannis root, like kind of like what? What's in it?
Yeah.
And then it's tannis root, and then it kind of gets ominous from there in the movie anyway. In the movie, but yeah. We'd be remiss if we didn't say how much it made. It made, and this is back in the day. This is back like when it made 33 million or so, 30 plus million. And if it back then, that was an incredible amount of money for a movie to make. That is, I don't know what the equivalent would be nowadays, but it was big. It was back but that was back when movies had a longer hang time, and they kept them around in the theater a lot longer, like The Sound of Music. They kept that around for 3 or 4 years, and then every damn family in America saw it 2 or 3 times. So
Yep.
you had these big productions that would stick around.
Right, and they would re-release the movies too if they were big enough. Like I remember with Star Wars when it first came out, I had to see it, and I finally talked to my mother into taking me to see it, and we went, and it had already left that previous week, and Pete's Dragon had taken over the theater, so she went ahead and let us watch Pete's Dragon. And I hated that movie with all the fiber of my body because I wanted it was not not Star Wars. So I've never liked Pete's Dragon. But a few months later they re-released Star Wars again, and so yeah, at that point my dad took us to see it, and every few months they would re-release a big money-making movie because like you said, there wasn't videotapes back then, so you couldn't rent it. They would re-release these movies, and they would obviously time it like I don't know, but with a movie like this, they would probably re-release it during Halloween time or something, just to
go ahead,
kind of inspire, just to inspire people, and also a lot of times they would also cut the movies down and eventually show them on TV as a big event as well. So the network broadcast, but they would cut out all the bad stuff from it.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, this has so many themes around, basically, for lack of a better word, Rosemary is just this dog that just keeps getting kicked.
Right.
No matter what happens, nothing is hers. Nothing is her. Not even her own body. Not anything. She's made to feel crazy. I don't think too many people were familiar with. I don't even think the term gaslighting was invented back then, to say the least. But you didn't really need those kind of words because it cut through. It's something that can it's horror because from the standpoint of what happens if you are made to think and feel that you're crazy. Even if you are crazy, but you're not helped, you're kept in that state. That's a whole other layer of atrocity on top of horror.
Yep. Yeah. Actually, I think gaslighting's been around forever. It just hasn't gotten popular until now because gaslighting comes from gaslight. The husband would turn down the gas light a little bit each day until it was dark, and they would convince his wife, no, it's always been this dark.
Oh, right on.
So that's what I've heard, but that's where it comes from. But yeah, and then it does touch on some serious stuff like. She is raped in this movie, whether by Satan or her husband. Like there's that scene where she's possibly drugged, and there's this satanic ritual where she may have gotten impregnated by Satan. But when she wakes up, his the husband plays it off that she maybe drank a little bit too much. But while she was unconscious, he claimed that he had sex with her, which is obviously a rape. So,
Right.
which would very, I don't know how it would play back in the '60s, but nowadays, that's a big no-no.
Yeah, I think that was. I think the laws were quite a bit different from today, like where there essentially there was no such concept of that, and the thing of marriage, in at least in some states, from what I've read, anyway. But
Right, right.
but we're also talking about a completely different world too, that we couldn't even fathom nowadays, to be honest.
Yeah.
Like whether it just and that just goes kind of the quality of the people around it. Nobody held anything back. Everybody worked. I mean, it would have been. I couldn't even imagine have been on set and have had that experience for any of these films that we've talked about that are that are just legendary in the genre, different genres that we've covered as time has gone on. But yeah, boy, man, you're just like, you just want to scream at the like, wake up. It really draws you in, and that's a hallmark of a good movie, where it draws you in and you just become so you become so invested in the main characters, especially her. You just can't believe what you're seeing. And of course, same thing, just like car crash, you can't take your eyes away.
Right. And go ahead.
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
I was just going to say that there's a sequel to Rosemary Baby, a TV movie called "Look What's Happened to Rosemary's Baby." It stars Patty Duke as Rosemary, which she auditioned for Rosemary as well. So she finally got to play her in this TV movie, and it has a grown up Andy, which is the baby grown up. But yeah, it was so bad that they never showed it again, and I don't know if it's available to even watch anymore. But yeah, it was pretty bad. It was directed by the editor, Sam Osteen, the editor of Rosemary's Baby. But yeah, and then later on, and that came out in '76.
Okay.
But the author, Ira Levin, he did write a sequel called Son of Rosemary in the '90s. So obviously they have nothing to do with the TV sequel, but yeah, I haven't heard much about that one either, whether or not it's a good sequel or not. And then it got remade as a TV series not too long ago.
2014,
I think,
was it?
yeah, they reset it in Paris, in Zoe Saldana from Guardians of the Galaxy plays Rosemary in that. So but yeah, I haven't heard anything about that one either.
Yeah, I believe she played in Avatar as well.
Yeah,
and she
yeah,
actually
and
she's been in I think she might be the top most grossing female actress of all time. Just because of, like, if you take all the movies that she's been in, not as the main lead per se, but every movie that she's ever been in, she's racked up she's in the top 10 for sure. I've read about that, but I was going to say real quick, not only did this set people on fire with the occult and the numerous permutations on that throughout the generation, or throughout the decades, but her haircut by Vidal Sassoon also was a trend-setting one back in this time. So that was kind of cool. Kind of cool to follow that.
And her husband famously does not like it when she comes home and, what did you do to your hair? And that's from the book as well. She does get her hair cut in the book, and yeah, the husband dislikes it. And yeah, the whole relationship that she has with her husband in this is very antagonistic, and like you said, gaslighting.
Right.
And from the very start, it's a bad relationship. So it's gonna go sour at one point or another. But it's just kind of interesting,
right.
because most horror movies kind of play up the perfect family at the start. Like, Stephen King, that's one of his big tropes, is have the nice happy family to start with, and have this evil that comes in and invades the family. Whereas this movie, it does kind of start off a little light, but with them, wanting to buy this house and house shopping and starting their life fresh. But there's all this kind of stuff that kind of twists it and makes you wonder, well, yeah, this isn't great to start with. There
Right.
there are there are a couple that are trying to make it work, and which is very realistic and really kind of adds weight to it. But even from the very start, with them kind of looking at the house, I mean, it's a house that the woman had died, so there's that kind of overcast of a dead person very from the very start. And the mystery of this dresser that's in front of a closet. Why is this dresser in front of the closet? And so there's a mystery from the start. Also was kind of wondering, um the neighbors at the start has this kind of a recovering drug addict lady staying with them, and Rosemary meets her down when she's doing the laundry, and she talks to her and finds out that the information that she gave her is a bit different from what the older couple talks about her afterwards, after she supposedly jumped.
Right.
So yeah, she already got kind of signs that they're maybe not as trustworthy as they appear to be, but she kind of lets it go, maybe as for forgetfulness of the older couple or whatnot. So yeah, there's all those little hints there. And I also kind of wonder if that lady was going to be maybe Satan's was going to do what he did to Rosemary to the recovering drug addict. But when Rosemary shows up, they go, "Oh no, she's a better suited for that. So let's get rid of this lady." So I kind of wonder if that, but it's not explained in the movie. But that's kind of what I kind of picked up on.
Yeah, I agree. I was gonna say you almost get the feeling that the whole concept of husband and wife with her husband is a farce, and that she was like specifically picked out, and then they wrapped the world around her to fit her to kind of keep her in place.
Hmm.
You get that eerie kind of feeling over and over and over again, like where she goes home, but it doesn't really feel like home for her. She goes to her own bedroom. It doesn't really feel like her own bedroom. She never kind of really feels at ease. She's kind of like made to be made. Something is in the air or the water or the atmosphere of the
Yeah.
thing that kind of keeps her on edge, and it keeps you on edge as you
Yeah.
watch this happen.
Yeah, and
You know,
she's separated from her friends. So she at one point she goes, "I'm tired of all these old people."
right,
Yeah, I'm
right,
having a party and no one under 60's coming, or
right.
no one over 60's coming. But yeah, also her husband, they had a little bit of trouble finding someone to play him because they wanted Robert Redford,
Mm.
but they couldn't get him, and Jack Nicholson was up for it, but Roman Polanski said, "No, he's too evil looking. That you'd probably already
They'd make
be
him.
be against him. He's a great actor, but they would be against him to start with. So, but
That true
yeah, they
knows how to
yeah
call it there for sure. And that was back
yeah,
then.
and they decided on John Cassavetes, and I think John Cassavetes is also a director, and I think he had he disliked how Roman Polanski planned all of his scenes. He disliked that. He's more of a you know film as you go, sort of spontaneous director. So yeah, their whole directing styles, it kind of bothered him. But he did a great job acting in this movie. I think he's the right amount of kind of sleaze, but
Hmm.
he also had a little bit of a charm to him, so you could see why she liked him and why maybe the relationship worked. But but you always kind of felt there was something else going on. He felt it felt like he was keeping things from her, and which also plays quite a well into the whole story structure of it.
Oh, absolutely does. Yeah, no, I don't know that you would have would have been a completely different disaster if it had been anybody else, really. And again, this goes back to good directors who have good. They can take whatever the originating material is, or the medium, book, another movie, adaptation of some other kind, even a cartoon could be, or video game nowadays. But you can there is a huge vast gulf between good directors who have that capacity to take what's in their mind's eye and then translate it so you can see it and experience it. That I'm not really a big Roman Polanski like nerd, aside from like modern day stuff. That's kind of the lens upon him is looked at quite differently nowadays than it was probably back then.
Yeah. That also kind of plays into. I think about the how do you judge? Do you separate the work from the person? Can you is there a point where someone does something so horrendous that whatever art that they've created has a stain on it that you
That's what I was
can't
talking about.
touch?
Right.
Yeah, so like you were kind of hinting at. Yeah, he Roman Polanski, yeah, he had everybody's sympathy after his wife was killed, but yeah, nowadays, yeah, I do believe he should have served some time in jail, if not still there.
Right. Yeah, and that's a whole other thing beyond the purview of this
Right.
show. But in any case,
Absolutely.
and that really is not germane to this at all, anyway, because
Yep.
this movie,
Yeah.
for better or for worse, it's always going to be out there, and it's kind of like what you were
Right.
saying. Like if you don't like a book, or Stephen King's, or I think it was Stephen King you quoted as saying like, well, I don't really. Well, my book is still there. It's still on the shelf. It hasn't changed. Like
Right.
if something.
Yeah.
It's the same thing that happens. And I would be curious to kind of take a dive into and watch a couple more Polanski films. I mean, I'm sure I've seen. I know I've seen at least one or two other ones. I just couldn't connect the dots and do. I didn't. I'm not. We're not that show. We're not getting like. Plus, nobody would care anyway. But in any case, unless it was like to make a point for this show, for this topic.
Right. One of my favorites of his is Fearless Vampire Killers, which is a horror comedy about vampires. So yeah, the Vampire Killers even. But yeah, it's probably worth visiting. At some point on our channel. But yeah, it's this is definitely outside the politics of what went on outside the movie. It's and whether or not it was cursed or not. This is a quality movie. After watching it, you may have computer problems like Mike did, or various other things maybe go wrong. But but yeah, it's probably worth watching anyway. Another thing, now y'all, life happens. So if anything bad happens after you do a horror movie, you say it's cursed, but there's some good things that come from it, like the lady that played Ruth in it, the next door neighbor, or no, I mean played
Ruth
Minnie.
Gordon.
Ruth Gordon, her name.
Right.
She this movie revitalized her career. She had several big movies after this. I think Maud and Me was one of the big ones after that.
Okay.
But yeah, so she had a nice career bump after this movie, because everybody loved her in this movie. Yeah, she was definitely a character. All of the people, especially the older people in this movie, are definitely standout characters. You could maybe there's and actually one of the interesting things is that Roman Polanski, after reading the book, he had very clear ideas of how the characters looked, that he wanted to cast in the movie. So he actually, for the casting people, he actually drew sketches of the people that he wanted, and they went out and tried to find people that looked like his sketches
That's
for him.
funny.
and that's why Charles Grodin got hired, because they went on set. When the producers took Roman on set, he was filming some western, and he said he had his cowboy hat and his big sideburns on and everything, but he looked enough like the sketch in his head that Roman hired him on the spot and said, "Yep, you're the guy." so
Wow.
so yeah,
Wow.
that was kind of interesting. So yeah, so he, in the very beginning when he's casting, he had a certain clear image of him, but he also gave every one of uh, the elderly people really standout characteristics. Like there's this one one lady that's one older lady that was taking care of Rosemary in the movie, and she was very childish and childlike, and that she had the big glasses. She's kind of
Okay.
stand out for me. Yeah, but yeah, everybody had clear characters to them, even though you don't get their backstory. They kind of stand out a lot of times with a group of people like that don't have a lot of screen time. They just kind of bleed into the scenery, and they don't stand out. But they all kind of stand out in their own particular way.
They do, and
Hmm.
I was just thinking about one thing I wanted to mention about Polanski was I was doing a little bit of research, and he said he didn't really want to do like direct one to one kind of supernatural kind of thing. He wanted it to be more based in reality, and
Hmm.
that's the cut that we got. Sure,
Hmm.
there are kind of scenes here and there that kind of toe the line a little bit, but in any
Hmm.
case, nevertheless, it's still it all works. It all works very
Yeah,
well.
there's no big foam monsters in it, so
No.
yeah, there's
Creature
and
feature.
so maybe that would have happened if William Castle had
Uh
directed
oh.
it, but oh, yep, looks like his camera went. It's cursed. It's on
Yeah.
it. It's acting on its
Yeah,
own.
I'm still here. I gotta readjust it here so you can see you can see some of my setup here.
Yep, yep.
Excuse me. Uh,
But
I'm gonna hide that while I get it fixed here. Well, if my
all right,
mouse clicks would work, there we go. All right.
all right.
While I fix this mess. You had we were. I know you and I are. You definitely game more than I do. Kind of transition here toward the end. When we'll come back here and wrap up the our thoughts on the movie. But can you? What are some of the things that you're playing here that you can look forward to that we will definitely get on the ball and we're going to do a Lex play or something and then probably around the later in the year when things settle down we have that for sure. Um,
Mhm.
but yeah, I was going to
Yeah,
say, go ahead.
I've been I've been playing Spider-Man 2. Um, Much like Rosemary Baby, in this one, Peter Parker gets impregnated with a demon child. No, no, he gets a symbiote suit, but no, it's yeah, it's they team up Peter Parker with Miles Morales, so you got twice the Spideys for the price of one. But yeah, it's it's a sequel to both Spider-Man on PS4 and the sequel, or well, it's not really a sequel, it's more of an add-on, Miles Morales Spider-Man. That came out for the PS4 and PS5. So it's just building upon that. It's a much of the same. If you played Spider-Man on PS4, it's a lot of the same stuff, just kind of amped up a little bit. But yeah, it's pretty fun. If you like the previous Spider-Man, you're gonna like this one. There's a lot of big set pieces at the start. There's like a huge battle with Sandman to start with that is big and over the top, and really kind of wows you, and then a little bit you do a few missions, and you have this other big set piece that I won't spoil. But yeah, it just seems to be building and building, and a lot of fun gameplay. Been enjoying it. It doesn't reinvent the wheel as far as Spider-Man goes, but it's quite a bit fun. I can see why it's getting such positive reviews.
Yes, there we go. Sorry, back.
Hmm.
good, good grief.
But they handled Peter Parker pretty well.
That's good.
That's my every generation has their own Spider-Man. Like the kids nowadays probably are like big into Miles. That's their Spider-Man.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. My 90s Spider-Man was Mary Jane Parker or Mary Jane, and they get married and yada yada yada. Of course, there's whatever. There's a there's a whole thing, but there's more than enough for that. That's funny you say that. Yeah, I unfortunately, unless I get a PS5 between now and whatever, which we were talking months ago. I've heard their VR is damn good. It's like the best VR that you can get nowadays from a console, no less. So that's kind of compelling. Although unless that happens, and unless I can play it on PS4, which I picked up quite a few years ago, I might have to sit that one out until it comes to PC. But I'm a very big fan of Sony bringing their games to PC because Days Gone, I played the hell out of that on PC as well as the Spider-Man. I haven't played the Spider-Man game as much on PC as I did on PlayStation, but sometimes you just want to swing around and enjoy that. So that's good to hear. Yeah, I know we had kind of touched, like, I am 400 plus hours into Starfield, and I love it. And it is what it is. Maybe you don't like it, maybe you like it, whatever, that's fine too. I pretty much, I don't care. I don't want to hear an opinion. If you don't like it, good for you. Don't play it. But I was blown away by it. And I know you started to play it a little bit. What were your first impressions of it in general?
Yeah, I picked up. I got the Game Pass on PC to try it out. It was like $10. So I was like, okay, I'll see if my computer will handle it. It played it, but very it struggled. Like it first takes place down into a mine, and all that ran pretty well. It was all on low settings. But as soon as you stepped out into the big open world, it like froze, and it took about a minute before everything started working again. And like when you get into a firefight, it became a little bit of a slideshow a little bit. So yeah, it wasn't the optimal way to play it. I played it for a couple hours. I really enjoyed it, but yeah, it's I'll wait until I get a better PC or get a new Xbox. So
Right on.
because I kind of need a new Xbox because
Anyway.
I tried loading up my Xbox Series. No, it's not the Series X. It's the Xbox One X.
Okay. The one before.
The better reiteration of the Xbox One.
Right.
It's the one that plays 4Ks and everything. I boot it up, and it keeps crashing every time I boot it up. So I need to replace it. Might as well get a Series S or a Series X. So depending on the money situation, I'll more than likely get an S so I could play Starfield.
I got the S. Well, one, you couldn't get it. You couldn't get the other ones, and then finally the market shook loose, and you could actually go get one. And I was like, right place, right time. I was like, oh, I'm gonna get one of these. Like, I'm not really a big on that, but in any case, yeah, no, I've had a lot of fun. Also, we kind of touched on Assassin's Creed. But I think it kind of didn't grab you, and it kind of didn't grab me either. But that doesn't mean that we won't play in the future. It just means that, like, if I'm going to pick a video game, and I very rarely game, I should say that. So it's no wonder that I've already sunk 400 hours into Starfield because I was really looking forward to it. And I know you and I have, just about everybody has been burned on the hype train for these games, like where you kind of, it comes out, it's day one, and then it's there's something there. I think some people have those kind of thoughts and feelings about Starfield, but I didn't have an issue. Wasn't really buggy for me. I know that Cyberpunk came out with a new DLC. I think it's like $40. I'm trying to get back in this. I'm trying to, but like I just start playing it, and you would think it would just hit my nerd bone just right, but I don't know. Like, you just got to be in a kind of mood, and there are people that are far better than I that game that can do it justice. But
Right.
and when I sit and play a game, I just want to enjoy it. I don't want
Yeah,
to.
definitely.
And then it's just so rare outside of like an indie platform or something like that that my brother-in-law lets me know about, or
Right.
something that you talk about, or somebody other somebody else that I know talks about and say, hey, you need to really check out this game, or whatever. But we'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see.
As far as glitches, I did find one in Spider-Man 2. There's certain in-world crime situations that you could do while you're swinging around. Crime will happen and you go in, bust up the bad guys, then move on. There are they're kind of stage situations. There's one where you go in, they're beating up on somebody. You take out the criminals, and then you have to throw the person over the person they're beating up over your shoulder and take them to an ambulance. And so I pick up this lady, throw her on my shoulder, but she gets stuck in the air. She's frozen there, and so I have to swing with an invisible person on my shoulder to the ambulance. And I put down an imaginary person. It's like, there you go. So it allowed me to complete it. But yeah, she was bugged out.
That's funny. Well, I had sometimes when you do the dialogue in the Starfield game, the camera will be like, it doesn't make any damn sense, and it happens like maybe 1 out of every 20 times you talk, and you talk to a lot of people. So if you don't like dialogue, you're probably not going to like that aspect of the game. But
Right.
aside from just hitting not caring about it, but yeah, you'd be like in this important meeting or something, and then you're like looking through the back of their eyeballs or something, or their shoulder, and it's like, okay, all right,
Yep.
we're just gonna have to go with this for a minute. But it doesn't bother me too much. But
Right.
I don't know. I'm probably reaching the end of the rope for that game, if I'm being honest, because like I've just sunk so much time into it. And I turned about 350 hours into Fallout 4 when it came out,
Right.
and we're talking like 2015, or late 2015. And then after that, like I played it a little bit, but like I kind of fell off the radar, because you kind of just, unless there's like some kind of cool thing you want to go check out or read about you didn't cover. But we'll see. I don't know. I might pick it up post game. But in any case, that was our little impromptu video game session there, brought on by my camera failure there, as it were. But in any case, that's been any other final parting thoughts that you wanted to cover for the show or for the movie? What is it? Is it in the pantheon of your okay, I've got to unhide myself here. If the thing would cooperate. Oop, there we go. Oh, who knows? It's just my computer, for whatever reason, is just being extra slow with this thing. I probably should have. There we go. All right, pop back in. Hopefully,
Might have to
around.
do an exorcism on it, but yeah.
I'm getting to the point now, like where I really need to get I need to get a desktop. And then this one, I'll always have this one around, but we'll see. I don't know. I've got some ideas that I want to do, but in any case, it works fine, and it's a beast on its own. Definitely geared toward more general purpose work than video production, although it does have a hell of a GPU in it. But in any case, I really enjoyed this one. I was happy that we could cover this. Right place, right time, I think. It'd be kind of fun to kind of revisit some of these that we've seen and see if we like them, or we kind of come away with another opinion maybe in a year or something like that. Definitely want to do that with Possession, for sure. Or special order that version of it and do it that way. But we'll see. But
yep. Yeah. It's one of those classics. It's a classic for a reason. The one other thing I'll point out is, I kind of enjoyed the Asian guy at the end of the movie, and not to spoil anything. Very much maybe a stereotype, but yeah, it was kind of interesting ad that they put in there. But yeah, he had his camera going, which a bit of a stereotype or trope from Hollywood movies, but yeah, probably wouldn't be there in a a newer movie. There's all little Andy. Now that would have been I would I loved for it to there to have been a TV sitcom based off of Rosemary raising Andy. What's up with Andy here? What's up?
Right.
Yeah, I would love to have seen the theme song and Andy getting up to little devilish trouble as the son of Satan. But
Right.
it would have been fun. Although I guess those movies with
I know what you're talking about.
right
I can't. I'd have to look it up,
those
but
yeah those are kind of probably might be a
the
little inspired by
Problem Child or something like that, or
problem child. Yeah, I think
yeah,
that's
that's
what
what
it
it is.
was.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, but yeah, it's enjoyable movie. Definitely worth watching. Yeah, if you're kind of hesitant on it, go ahead and give it a try if you have access to the
I
movie.
I don't see too many people from unless you just have a thing against horror movies. Then well, you're probably not going to be watching this show anyway. But or let alone this movie. But if you don't have any hangups about horror movies, this one really isn't. It's not your typical, kind of more modern one. It's definitely it holds its own, and I don't think that it's like it is shocking. It definitely is shocking for sure.
Yeah.
But I think it hits you in a different kind of way. But it definitely I definitely loved it for sure. And yeah, we'll see how it goes down. But
Yeah. Yeah, there's a definite shift in, I'd say, a little bit of tone, but the last 15 minutes of it is really worth watching.
it
It
is.
kind of goes out there, and yeah, the first part of it again is more drama driven, and I can see where if you're a younger person that likes slasher movies or Marvel movies, you might not get get out of it what you could do later on if you have the patience for a more of a drama driven movie. There's that, like maybe I wasn't as receptive to it early, when I was younger, because maybe I wasn't in that state of mind. So yeah, there's that. It's a more mature movie in
Hmm.
in that sense. So yeah, not to say one's bad or better than the other. It's,
Mm.
everybody loves movies and loves their kind of movies. So yeah, if you so yeah, in your comments down below, if this movie didn't blow you away, or if it did blow you away, let us know. Let us know your opinion on the movie.
Yeah, definitely. If you are a cinephile, you love movies, you regardless of genre, you've probably already seen this. But if you haven't, add this to the list, especially if you're a
Hmm.
younger generation and you are getting your bearings and kind of getting a good opinion on things. And then
Hmm.
probably this one, like many good classic films, like it begs you to go back and rewatch it to kind of
Hmm.
see, especially if you get a little bit older, you can appreciate different aspects of it depending upon
Right. Hmm.
your walk of life, your stage of life for
Hmm.
sure. But yeah,
Yeah, I know it's a big thing nowadays on people streaming and whatnot to have the tier list. So
oh,
maybe
S
once
tier.
we get, S tier and the A tier, all the tiers, they rate stuff like candy or whatnot,
Oh yeah, that'd
fast
be
food
fun.
restaurants. Yeah,
That'd be
maybe
fun.
after we get a few more horror movies under our belt, maybe do a tier listing of horror movies. But of the ones that we've seen, see how they stack up between us, because it's always interesting to hear different people kind of argue over if it's the best or not, and
Right.
why, because it kind of, a lot of people kind of agree on certain things, but why they agree is also kind of interesting,
It is.
and
Can be.
maybe different. Yeah, but a lot of times it's different. The things that they like about it's different from what another person likes. So yeah, it's those tier lists are kind of interesting, because I just, and it kind of made me think of it, because I watched Mega 64, they did a tier list for Halloween candy, and it was interesting to see their varying opinions on what was S tier and what was dog crap.
I haven't seen that, but I can almost guarantee you some kind of Reese's Pieces was at S tier or A tier. Is that true?
Yeah, the peanut M&Ms, everybody except one of them wanted to put it in S tier, so I think that was they all somewhat agreed that candy corn was A, which I was kind of surprised by, but
all right.
Yeah, it is the iconic Halloween candy, so that was one of their reasonings behind it, but yeah, I think maybe we're rolling up towards the end, right?
I believe so. Yes, we are. Yep. And I get the pets going nuts here because they want me to give them attention. Yep. I have been Mike, and this was Rosemary's Baby.
Mm-hmm. Yep. As Madonna says, she's keeping the baby.
Yeah. Yeah. Don't do anything to the baby. Baby's innocent. Maybe.
Little Andy.
Well, yeah.
Yeah. Well, she was right.
Go ahead.
No, like what was the names? Andy and Jane, I think. She was trying to pick over for the baby.
Yeah. All right. We'll see you next week.
See ya.
Gotta love DA baby. Beat it. This has been First the Last the Nerdom production by Mike and Tom.